Welcome to today's presentation. We are going to be talking about a very particular part of speech called an article. I'm Justin Rempel. So what is an article? Usually when we hear this word article, we're talking about a short piece of writing that we would find in a magazine, a journal, or on a website. Not this time. In this case, the word article refers to a part of speech which is a specific kind of word. It plays a specific role in a sentence. It has a special job that it's doing. And an article isn't really its own part of speech. It's really a specific kind of adjective, which is a word that we use to describe and modify nouns. So these little words slightly change how we're talking about nouns. Remember, when I say nouns, those are things, people, places, plants, animals, machines, that kind of thing. Adjectives are the words that describe the things. So like colors or size words, texture words, anything that is describing what those things are like. English has two articles. The first article is the word the. The second article is the word a or an. They're very small. They're very common. We use them a lot. And they can be tricky, especially for people just learning English, because not every language has these little words called articles. So let's find out what they do and why we have them. Let's start with talking about this little word, the, T-H-E. This is what we refer to as the definite article. Definite means we're referring to something specific or particular. Using the means there is only one, or we're referring to a specific one. So for example, we went to the mall to buy some new shoes. We're not talking about just any mall. We're talking about the mall. So that means there's one mall that's close to us. It's the one we always go to. That's the one we're talking about in this sentence. And we know that just because of this little word, the. Here's another example. I took the dog for a walk. Well, I'm not talking about just any dog. I didn't take a random dog or a stranger's dog for a walk. I took the dog for a walk. So just from that sentence, you can tell that I have a dog. There's one dog that I own, and I took it for a walk. I might call it by its name, but I might just call it the dog. Here's another example. The rain is coming down. I'm referring to not just any rain from any time or any place. I'm referring to the weather that's happening right now. I'm probably looking outside my window and I'm commenting on the rain that is currently falling. It's a specific noun. On the other hand, we call this little word a or an the indefinite article, which means non-specific. This means when we use this little word, we're talking about any non-specific member of a group or category. Using it means we're referring to one non-specific member, or we could be referring to any member of a group. So here's some examples. We want to get a pet dog. In this case, we're talking about getting a pet dog. It doesn't matter really which one yet. We're just talking about any possible dog out there that we would like to get. Here's another example. A mall is a fun place to hang out. Here we're just talking about malls in general. We're not talking about a specific mall. We're just talking about malls. They exist. We like them. They're fun. Here's another example. A rain would be good for the crops. Here I'm talking about rain and how it's much needed right now and how I would really like some. I'm not talking about a specific rainfall that happened on a specific day or that is happening right now. I'm just talking about rain in general, how it's nice, how it would be much appreciated and helpful to make the crops grow. So I keep talking about this indefinite article /an. There's kind of two versions of it. Sometimes it has an an at the end. Sometimes it's just an a. What's the difference? Why are there two versions? Well, we use the slightly longer version, an, before words that start with a vowel sound. These are the soft sounds, a, e, I, o, u, a, e, a, a. Okay, those soft sounds that are vowel sounds. Notice that I don't say vowel letter, I say vowel sounds, because sometimes words start with a consonant, but they still have a vowel sound. I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. We use just the one letter A before words that start with a consonant sound. So these are all the other hard sounds. K, b, j, d, f, g. Any other sound is a consonant sound or a hard sound. Let's take a look at some examples. That shaking is from an earthquake. This is an urgent crisis. Here we have two examples of words that start with vowel sounds, earthquake and urgent. And before both of them, we have article an earthquake, an urgent. Second example, call a doctor or a nurse. Again, in this case, there's two examples. Both of them start with consonant sounds, d and n. So we use the article a before both of them. A doctor, a nurse. Here's the last example, and it's kind of the weird exception. That is a unique city. It is a European metropolis. Here we have words that start with vowel letters, but we still use the article a in front of them because they both start with the consonant sound y, like a Y sound. Y, unique European, a unique city, a European metropolis. In these cases, we use the article a because these words, even though they start with a vowel, they have a consonant sound at the beginning. This has not always been the case, and especially if you look at some older texts, they strictly follow the vowel or consonant letter rule. They don't base it off of sound, they base it off of the actual letter. But today in common practice, we base it off of the sound, not the letter. So count or non-count nouns can make a difference in which article we use, and I'll explain what I mean by that. We may use the article the with non-count nouns. These are nouns that cannot be counted or easily quantified with numbers, or else we don't use any article at all. So here's an example. You spilled the milk on the floor. You don't count milk. It's just a volume of liquid. So we use the article the to refer to it. You spilled the milk on the floor. However, we could just leave this article out and say you spilled milk on the floor. It would still make sense either way. The article a must be used with count nouns, nouns that can be counted. I would like a glass of milk. Now, while milk cannot be counted, glasses of milk can. We can have 1 glass of milk, 2 glasses of milk, and so on. So we put the article a in front of the word glass. I would like a glass of milk. If we're using slang, we could say, I would like a milk. Okay? People often use that in their day-to-day conversation. And that's because when they say, I would like a milk, they're really referring to a glass of milk or a carton of milk or a serving of milk, something that can be counted. It's just sort of shorthand. Proper nouns. Proper nouns are specific names of things, names of people, names of places, and you usually do not need to use articles with proper nouns. Likewise, you usually do not need to use articles with things like sports or school subjects. Here's some examples. I went to visit Justin. He lives in Canada. He speaks English and a little bit of French. He teaches science and mathematics and enjoys playing soccer. Now, nowhere in these sentences do you see articles like the or except when we say a little bit. But we don't say, I went to visit the Justin or a Justin. You just say the name, Justin. He lives in Canada, which is the proper name of a country. We don't say a Canada or the Canada. We just say Canada. Same with the languages, English, French. We don't have articles in front of them. Same with the school subjects, science and mathematics, not the science or a mathematics, just science and math. Same with the sport, like soccer. It's not the soccer, it's not a soccer, it's just soccer. Geography. Do not use the before names of most geographical features: countries, territories, cities, towns, states, provinces, streets, lakes, mountains, continents, islands. All of these are proper nouns, just like we discussed on the last slide. We don't say the Canada, we just say Canada. However, there are some geographical features where we do use the before the names: rivers, oceans, seas, points on the globe, geographical areas, deserts, forests, gulfs, peninsulas. Here are some examples. We traveled from the equator to the South Pole. These are important points on the globe, and we do use the article the in front of them. The Red Sea is a body of water in the Middle East. Body of water, region on the globe, we use the in front of geographical features like this. The Amazon is the name of a river, but also a rainforest. Rivers and forests, we use the before names of these places. Last point I want to make is about alphabetizing, when we organize things in alphabetical order. We often use articles at the start of titles of books or songs or whatever. We do not usually include articles when we're organizing these titles into alphabetical order. We kind of pretend like they aren't there or they don't count. Sometimes when we're organizing these titles, we actually put the article at the end of the title and we separate it with using a comma. So here's some examples. Here are 3 names of books: The Catcher in the Rye, The Lord of the Rings, and A Study in Scarlet. They're all famous book titles. They all start with an article, right? 2 of them start with one of them starts with a. When we alphabetize them, when we organize them into a list, we put The Catcher in the Rye first because we don't count the articles. If we did, we would start with A Study in Scarlet. It starts with A, but we don't. Instead, we start with Catcher in the Rye. We put a comma after rye, and we actually put that first word, that first article, the, at the end. Same with The Lord of the Rings. We put Lord of the Rings, classified under L, and then a comma, and then the. Study in Scarlet comes last. It starts with an S. Study in Scarlet, comma, A. So you often use that when you are formatting lists, when you're using citation to reference sources, things like that. For more information, see this great resource from Queen's University. It's an excellent pamphlet on how to use articles properly in the English language.